Hey everybody, and welcome to the inaugural Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel podcast. I'm not 100% sure that's going to be the final name. We actually might even go back and rebrand with one of our old brands called TNT Podcast. We'll figure out some sort of way. But hey, if as for now, we are starting the audio component to our YouTube channel. I miss podcasting. It's something that I found a lot of pleasure in doing, and I had a blast making, creating, and editing along with my friends Troy and Josh way back when. So I'd like to bring this back and have an audio component to go with the channel via our Patreon. Patreon's not quite up just yet, but I wanted to get the word out there that this is coming. That's why we're making a video component to help launch it. But here in a couple seconds, we are going to lose the video and go straight to audio. You'll be able to get that through our Patreon site or eventually through other streaming services like iTunes, Spotify, and so on. We're still working out the logistics, but what better way to do it than to dive right in? So thank you guys for taking the time to check out this video. Make sure you like and subscribe on all of our platforms, whether it's TikTok, Twitter, Threads, Facebook, and well, basically if there's a social media platform, we're probably on there. So go and follow those and like and subscribe here on YouTube. And let's go to straight audio. Thanks for tuning in here, and let's pick it up where it's just the sound of my voice. I'm sorry. I am sorry, because who wants to just hear me talk? Well, I'm guessing you do. You're taking the time to check out our podcast. And this podcast is going to center around everything that we do, whether it's Tesla, tech, travel, just everyday life and being a family. This is our platform to just talk and have fun and a good old time. There's no real restrictions on it, but at least every episode we will hit a topic having to do with Tesla, having to do with tech, and having to do with travel. And today we're going to keep it pretty simple. We're going to keep this episode a little bit shorter. So in this particular case, let's start off with some general Tesla news. In this case, it's about my personal car, my Tesla. If you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I was involved in a little fender bender recently. Unfortunately, the person just wasn't paying attention and they decided to, well, run into me. If you haven't seen it, please check out our YouTube channel. The video is on there. They tried to say that I slammed my brakes, but that's what's so great about having a Tesla. The video evidence suggests otherwise. I was coming to a slow. They decided they weren't paying attention. I'm pretty sure they were on their cell phone because he got out with it up to his ear. Yeah, all the signs point to he just wasn't paying attention. And you know what? That happens. And that's why we have insurance. So I'm not terribly heartbroken about what happened. I'm just heartbroken that the person lied to me and didn't have insurance and lied to his wife and said all the different things about how I stopped short and yada, yada, yada. The reality is, he just wasn't paying attention. Sometimes we make mistakes, we just gotta take ownership, something I've always taught my children, something I believe in wholeheartedly personally. Accidents happen, and it's up to us to take ownership and accountability for them. So in this particular case, I'm glad I'm insured at least. I do have a deductible, it's right around $500. It's one of those I'd rather not pay that $500 out of my pocket, but I'd rather not be driving around in a completely broken car. And the totals came to about $8,600 for repair. Totally repairing my liftgate, or replacing my liftgate, totally replacing the back bumper, and straightening out some things having to do with the pan and back and so on and so forth. The only part that I found a little off-putting is I took it there with 90% power, and I checked today because I still have access to the Tesla app, even though it's in service mode, it was down to 4% power. Which, if you know anything about lithium-ion batteries, well, lithium batteries in this case, it is not a good thing to let the battery get that low. So, hopefully they got it on the charger. I believe they did when I checked later, but I wasn't 100% checking for that. I was checking for progress. And I'm just waiting to get my car back. Because right now I'm driving a Dodge Charger. And there's a reason I don't drive those type of cars. I went with a Tesla. It's just, I had to put $54 in gas in it today just to get it going, as opposed to my normal $7 or $8 for charging it at home for the week. Life happens. We got to take the good with the bad. But repairs are getting a little bit easier now. That's why I'm bringing up this topic. About 2 years ago, my car also had a similar fate happen to it, where I was parked in a parking lot and somebody unfortunately just hit my bumper and tore off the front bumper with their truck. In that particular case, luckily the person was insured, very honest and forthcoming, came and found me. Does anybody here own a Tesla? I'm like, why? And they took care of it, and actually I even act as my advocate to get it repaired, because their insurance did try to fight me on it. But luckily I had a good person there. She decided to help push it through, and she was actually an attorney, so she kind of threatened her insurance on my behalf. And it got repaired, but that one took over a month. This one we're now in almost week 3, because it happened July 5th, and today's date is July the 27th. So yeah, about 3 weeks. And it looks like they're finally doing the repairs. Before, what took forever was getting those parts from Tesla. Now, it's not as bad as it used to be. They're coming out of most major factories. So when I had the first repair done, there was only the Gigafactory there in Southern California. So now, the repairs are going through smoothly. It just took forever to get the parts, it looks like. I'm hoping to hear something in the next week or so, because I miss my car. I miss driving it. I definitely have become an electric car person at this point. Now, will I always own a Tesla? I don't know, probably not. But right now, since they have the best charging network, and this is the car we mostly do on big family road trips, I'm going to stick with it for the foreseeable future. If anything, I would like a Model Y, but I don't know if that's going to be in the cards anytime soon since we are looking for a new home right now. Which, on that subject, we went to look at a new home today. I really liked it. It's just now a matter if it's within our price range and if we can make everything happen because there's lots of moving parts in our case. We got to sell our home, we got to sell my mother's home, and somehow in between those two, buy the new home. But luckily, we have one of the best real estate guys in the world working with us. And I'm going to call him Houdini because I know he works some magic, which is going to be great. Excuse me. Like I said, not a whole lot of news around there this week, so we're going to move on to the next subject, which right now we're going to talk some Disney. This falls under our travel portion. If you've even seen a monochrome of what we do on YouTube, you know that we're giant Disney fanatics, my wife and I. In fact, my father refers to it as a weird fetish, and you know what? He's not wrong. We love Disney to the point we go all the time. We're magic key holders. We love Disneyland. They made an announcement that I don't know how I feel about it, so that's why I wanted to bring it to the podcast itself. I'm not a prude by any stretch of the imagination. I've had my fun, I've done my partying, heck, I went to college, right? But Disney just announced they're going to be including more places for alcohol service in Disneyland proper. It was before if you wanted alcohol, you went to DCA. You made a point of going to DCA. They had their wineries, their vineyards, all the different drink opportunities. It was kind of like Disneyland for real grown-ups, not grown-ups like myself and my wife. And I make no secrets, I enjoy an alcoholic beverage every now and then. Maybe once a month, if that. Nothing crazy. It's not something I have to have in my life, but yeah, sometimes I do enjoy one. But there's just something that doesn't sit well with me about alcohol being served in Disneyland proper. And I keep using that term, Disneyland proper, because you have to consider they've always had alcohol in Club 33, but you and I are probably never going to see the inside of that room. And they also serve it in Galaxy Star Wars Edge inside of Olga's Cantina, which, according to the Disney storyline and mythos and everything, that's off-planet. So technically, in the world of Disney, it's off-world of Disney. So I always kind of took that with a grain of salt. And I like Olga's Cantina. We've been in there. I've never had one of the alcoholic beverages in there, but I like having the beverages in there. I guess the only saving grace to the situation is all the alcoholic beverages are going to be strictly in table service. So you can't just get it and walk around and get plastered and try to ride Big Thunder Mountain. Because the average person's not going to buy $10, $9 beers while sitting down at table service. They're eating their food, they're getting their drinks, they want to get back to the park. But with that being said, it still feels weird that alcohol is readily available in Disney. And this tells me a couple things. One, that Disney is looking for additional revenue stream because the selling alcohol, the margins are ridiculous. You make a lot of money fast, especially with people that want to drink multiple drinks, so on and so forth. So that kind of scares me as a Disney stockholder that they're not doing so well financially or trying to find any way to try and increase profitability. I'm assuming we're recovering a little bit from the Chapek years and during the COVID shutdown and so on and so forth. They're just trying to find revenue in any capacity they can, which, from a business point of view, totally get it. But Disney as a brand really has no reason to be concerned or to worry. Disney is going to be around in some capacity, way, shape, or form from here to the end of the foreseeable future. But the fact they're turning to alcohol sales in Disneyland Park also tells me they might be struggling as far as they're concerned financially. That doesn't sit well with me when you consider some of the bonuses. Like, for instance, Bob Iger, who is our Disney Lord and Savior. He makes around $50 million a year in salary and bonuses. Okay, so there's $50 million there. How much do you really need to run this business and be effective and still be happy? Is it $50 million? Is it $45 million? Whatever. I would like to see the books and the numbers, and this is just the MBA part of my brain coming out. I want to see how much profitability is actually forecasted and projected with the additional sales of alcohol, because it is very confined to just sit-down services. If you've ever been to Disneyland, you know those sit-down services aren't easy to come by. Usually you have to have your reservations more than 30 days in advance. So you can't just walk in. Yeah, you can get on the wait list, but there's no guarantee you're going to get there in a reasonable amount of time, especially if all the reservations are showing up. So it is kind of a double-edged sword. But also, is this going to be leading to additional alcohol sales in the near future? Like, are you going to be able to go right outside of Big Thunder Mountain and grab a beer before jumping on the ride? Are you able to get a little gin and tonic drink while walking towards the Haunted Mansion and just walk around the park with it? One of the things that Walt really wanted when he started this parks was complete immersion into the fantasy, or into the area and the land that you're in. That's why you never saw someone wearing Frontierland garb walking through Tomorrowland. You never saw someone from the Haunted Mansion taking their break over in Adventureland. But now I actually see it all the time. That always kind of hurts my soul a little bit, where I see somebody just casually walking through Tomorrowland and I see them wearing the outfit from like Riverbell Terrace that they work there. Kind of defeats the illusion a little bit, and the exact thing that Walt wanted for Disneyland Park. And by serving alcohol in those different parks, I mean, just taking this into consideration, Walt was a big time smoker, but you never really saw him smoking or saw pictures of him smoking, because it's about the presentation and about the brand, about the product. By introducing alcohol into the Disneyverse like that, I think it really is taking a hit to the brand and the product. Disney's never really led me astray for the most part. I mean, the new Magic Key system has maybe led me astray a little bit, but other than that, I do trust them. So hopefully they're making the right decision, and it's a calculated and weighted decision, but only time will tell on that one. It's just with me personally, it doesn't sit too well with it. But hey, what can you do? All right, the last topic we're going to discuss in this very first episode and very first podcast that we're just playing around with and tinkering is the tech portion. Now, I've talked about it more than once. When it comes to the tech portion, I can't talk about a lot of it because it does conflict with my day job, and I definitely don't want to do anything to risk my livelihood. But when it comes to tech, the thing that I want to talk about today is something that's been bothering me now for the last week and a half. I've made many proclamations on our channel that audio has always been our weak point when it comes to the videos that we create. So I invested in the Rode Wireless Go 2 microphones. I've invested in lapel mics. I've invested in the Rode Micro Mic. And the sounds have been pretty solid since then. In fact, right now I'm recording with the Rode Wireless Go 2 mics using a system on my iPad. I think it's going to sound great now that I figured out this issue. And that issue is the last week and a half, the audio has been very low. I've had to tweak it so much in post and using Adobe Premiere. I don't know what was going on. There's nothing that I changed. So why did it go from A to B so fast? Well, today when I was getting ready to record the podcast, I hooked it up to my Rode software to make sure they were both up to date, all the microphones and everything. And I noticed the audio was turned down to negative 30 decibels. Now, going through all the other platforms when I record, whether it's through the cameras, through the computer, it doesn't show me what the decibel setting on the microphone proper, the receiver is. So when I hooked it up to that and I saw that it was negative 30 on the receiver, as soon as I adjusted it, my God, I can actually hear myself talking in without screaming or setting the new gains in Adobe Premiere. So yay. This takes me back to something to do with Tesla and with most of the technology we use nowadays. We buy all these different devices to make our life easier, to sound better, to look better through camera equipment, whatever it is. We spend lots of money, investment, time, all that. And one little thing can throw it all for a loop. And in my particular case, I need to stay cool when it comes to this stuff because I get so frustrated to the point where I'm just ready to toss it out. But when I find that one little thing, it makes everything fall into place. It was the same thing with the Tesla during our very first video we ever made on the YouTube channel. Why isn't it charging past 7%? It was only charging 7% and cutting off. Well, it turns out a third-party app I had was causing scheduled charging, even though I turned off scheduled charging in every other Tesla-related component except for that one outlier. So the name of the game is, sometimes when technology fails us, it's not failing us, it is user error. So remember to take the time, take a deep breath, step back, and sometimes walk away for a day or two when it comes to the technology, and you'll just eventually find the answer if you follow the proper channels, which is what I did in this particular case. Well, guys, I want to say thank you for just taking the time to just listen to our little show here. We're approaching that 15-minute mark, and that's where I want to keep it at for this editing and for this test, just to make sure everything is working properly. So I want to say thank you for taking the time out just to listen to it and seeing what you think. If you look forward to having more podcasts coming out where I'm going to have guests on here, I'm going to have some adventures, maybe go out in the wild and do it, maybe even talk my wife into being on the podcast with me because she doesn't like being on the front lines of this stuff that much. But hey, she has some stuff to say and I think you'd want to hear it. So if you think that's a great idea or a good idea or something you're willing to give a listen to test it out for us, please like or comment down below or just send us a message or on social media, whatever you want. Heck, throw a rock, just don't hit me. But until then, thanks for taking another ride with us, and thanks for checking out the very first audio version of Tommy's Tesla Tech and Travel. And I'm having to dust the cobwebs off because it's been a minute since I've done the whole podcasting thing. I can't believe we used to go for an hour and plus every single time without even a challenge. It was just, oh God, we're already at an hour, 10 minutes, turn this off. So this is going to be a new experience for me. We're getting back into the saddle, I should say. But who knows, you might see that TNT brand coming back soon. Well, until then, thanks for taking a ride with us. Bye-bye, everybody.